Supernatural Spirit Magic School, Scene 3. Action.
Right, so we've done magic spells, or an introduction to. We'll be doing our Kabbalistic and Egyptian ceremonies to compare and contrast, probably starting next week. But now we're going to go into Necromancy, which is calling up the dead. Not necrophilia, but necromancy. And our triangle of art now goes into the realm of the dead, so we turn it round that way. Yeah. And what's the point of necromancy? Well, the point of necromancy is we can call up every single major sorcerer from the past, call them up in our triangle of art, and then collect all the power they got from every single ritual they did throughout their life. So that means that then we can be the end user for every magician on the planet. And even better, since this is to do with the astral, we collect the power of other people who are still alive. So if you want to collect the death force power of Ariana Grande, you can call up Ariana Grande. If you want to call up the head of the Rosicrucians, or the OTO, or any other so-called, or QAnon, or some spiritual master on the internet, you can stick them in your triangle of art, call them up, take all their power. Gotta be good, isn't it?
QAnon's a very good one to use for that.
So as you see, everyone is supplying power to your orb, and remember, the more power you've got in your orb, there we are, it's in my pocket. Now I've got, yeah. The more power you've got in your orb, the more you can deploy it with your wand to save the world, save the environment, make the world a better place. Which is the only reason that Celestial Paladin and Angelic Annie are doing these films. So let's start with Pietro d'Alba, an Italian philosopher who studied medicine in Paris, then returned to Padua to practice as a physician. They wrote some highly respected medical books, as well as a treatise on magic called the Heptameron, or Magical Elements. Accused of practicing sorcery by the Inquisition, he was acquitted but later rearrested. He died in prison while awaiting trial. So we can stick in 1250 to 1310. So we stick in there Pietro d'Alba. Now when we do necromancy, we're using, remember, all of these are the end result of our negative ram's horn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And this ram's horn always goes to a stone, which would be the Shethliya stone of the Elohim, and then uploaded to the Elohim. But we simply have a stone that hijacks the Shethliya stone, and instead of uploading to the Elohim, uploads to yours truly and all of the Psi Lord's followers. So all the orbs you get in your magical kit are simply self-similar aspects of the outer Grail stone. Now you can call up Pietro d'Abano. So we use our ram's horn, get our wand, plop that in my pocket, and we simply do our ram's horn, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. And then we move it around here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we move it here into the circle, and the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and move it into the circle. And of course, the end of the ram's horn goes to a stone. So we have all here. So doing it symbolically, we'd have our little ram's horn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. With our wand, and it comes into our orb. Yeah. Then we simply get the wand with the left hand for uploading and push the orb into the triangle of art, where it collects the power. Then of course we can bring the power in. Remember, when you're uploading, yeah, you can bring it round. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 within the circle. And the other side, which is starting in the centre. See, going up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 in the circle, which gives you the anti-evil, which gives you the power, their power tuned to block all evil from you. So the orb's collecting, and the wand's collecting it in the circle to build a big vortex, which becomes part of you. So by doing this ritual, you step out of the circle with that power added to your energy field. And of course, if you're adding power to your energy field, you then of course have the wand and apply it to your gap to fill your body up with the vortex that you've been producing. Simple as that, very simple. So you're simply collecting the power from every single occultist. And we go through the list again and again, just adding, and all the rituals they did, all the booby traps, all the things they got wrong is irrelevant, because you're only collecting the good stuff. So their entire lives are simply there to farm magic to the end user, which is you. Good, eh?
Very good.
So we start with the next one. Which is Abaris, this Scythian magician, famous for his long fast and extraordinary feats of levitation, deserves a mention because he's reputed to have been the tutor of Pythagoras. So we have Abaris, stay on our list. We have a huge list by the end of this. Yeah, stick them in. Process. And remember, you can make talismans of these magicians, putting their name as numbers. So think of Abaris, stick in the numerical value of Abaris. Yeah. Which is 1. We should be able to add this up easily. Well, I should anyway. 2, 1, 2, 1, and 3.
10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10. See? Which could then be condensed into 1 and put on our talisman, which we showed you before. Do you want me to show you the talisman again? No. Good. Then we can simply put the 1 in there, put the talisman in there, do the same old stuff, but this time making a talisman to collect the power and generate new magic of all the magic they've done, all the magic spells they've done, but generating more of the same using a talisman. Good, eh? I like it anyway. Next we go to back. Look through which ones I fancy. Oh, Abramelin. The Mage Abramelin. He's the one that came up with the ritual of putting in the Holy Guardian Angel into yourself, which I'll describe another time. And he did the book of Sacred Magic as delivered by Abraham the Jew unto his son Lamech, 1458. Crowley thought the Abramelin ritual was the highest form of magic by putting the Holy Guardian Angel into himself. So basically what you're doing is putting a walk-in into yourself, rather like supernatural, but say your subliest, highest, goddess form of walk-in into yourself. Basically putting an archangel into yourself to become an angel, which you had in Supernatural, which was the Abramelin ritual, changing worshippers into angels, all done by the Nephilim, son of Lucifer, which was in Supernatural, which is the Abramelin ritual, all stuck into Supernatural, just by chance. So we can use Abramelin. Next we can come to Agrippa, Cornelius Agrippa von Netzheim, 1486 to 1535, who wrote De Occulta Philosophia, a comprehensive defense of magic. Stick him in. Albertus Magnus, an alchemist, and discovered the Philosopher's Stone, which has enabled him to effect the transmutation of metals. And even more important, the Philosopher's Stone allows you to de-age. So if this guy did discover something of that type, well worth having. Saint-Germain certainly should be called up if you're into anti-aging, just in case he actually was someone who could extend his lifespan. So Saint-Germain should be called up by the necromantic spells. Then we've got Apollonius of Tyana, 4 BC. He reanimated the corpse of a Roman matron who died a short time previously. Many Western occultists now regard him as their magister or spiritual patron and commemorate his life by an act of dedication performed around sunset on May the 1st. Then who have we got next? Roger Bacon, who supposedly was into magic, alchemy and divination. Then we've got Francis Barrett, who wrote Magus or Celestial Intelligencer, 1801, which is described on the title page as a complete system of occult philosophy. Benedict the Ninth, 1005, one of the many magical popes, a specialist in Necromancy, and inventor of a bronze head capable of prophetic utterances. Berosus prophecies. So as you can see, you can tune what you call up to give those powers to you. David Boyther, an alchemist. Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, who wrote Isis Unveiled, and a big spiritualist. Then we've got Roger Bolingbroke, astrologer and magician. Bulwer Lytton, who's an initiate of magic according to this, an author. Butler W.E., a practicing magician who is also author of several books, blah blah blah. Alessandro di Count Cagliostro, So he was into love filters, rejuvenation potions and alchemical catalysts. Giovanni Jacopo Casanova, who was into sorcery and screwing as many women as possible. Then we've got Aleister Crowley. So all Crowley's rituals, everything he did, all uploaded to you. All the dangers dumped on the Crowley, because remember, when you do it this way, the scapegoat, death goat, is defined because they're dead. They failed. And all the power had to come to you. You're the reason that zero sum game end user. They're dead, old, dead, gone. All the power comes to you. So as you can see, with this form of magic, all of the failures aren't failures. Their only usage was the end of the zero sum game. The zero sum game is one person loses, one person gains, or one state gains, one state loses. And this magic has actually changed the magic in the past. If you look at Marvel Infinity Wars, where they're using it on poor old Thanos, he was only trying to make life better. Changing the past, changing timelines. One can see we're changing the past, so all of the magicians and sorcerers in the past, including Crowley, who was born rich, a bakery, son of a bakery magnate, and ended up in penury in Hastings. No money in some little guest house, and was cremated in Brighton in 47. So he went from being rich to dirt poor. I've gone from being dirt poor to being rich. And as we see with the ritual, becoming a billionaire eventually. And remember, Crowley's books are all booby-trapped. Do his rituals, it's full of stuff to do you in, because he was a nasty bastard. This way, you can stick Crowley in your circle, make a talisman of Crowley, and you know all the power has come to you, because he ended up dead, poor, old, ill, sick, and basically ignored, but no longer of use to the crown. Done it, Hitler, off you go, you're an embarrassment. Next we get Sir Francis Dashwood, who, if you're into BDSM nasty sex, he does all the Hellfire Club stuff, which is the Wide Awake, Nicole Kidman, Tom Cruise. So if you go to all of the Illuminati mansions, they'll be doing their big sex magic rituals with their circle, banging their staffs, which are big ones. You know, the high priest is banging his staff, if you've seen that film. And what are they collecting? They're collecting the ram's horn energy from the orgy people, so that they can use it for magic. Does it make sense now? So Wide Awake, you completely understand what's happening now. We're collecting the sex magic, which is love magic, the ram's horn given out, collected by the magus or adept who's running it, who's dressed in red, which is the satanic love, Gabora, to use, you know, for evil stuff. And you even see in Taylor Swift's Me video, where she goes into the heart of her designated man, unique man, through the heart, I think there's about 12 of them, into there, and they're wearing red, like in the adept who's running the Wide Awake. They're both in red. She's in her 60s Jane Fonda thing, and he's in his red. See? So you might think this isn't in your face, but it is. And all the A-listers in Hollywood, if they're not really into it, like Madonna and Katy Perry and Miley and Ariana Grande, some of them at least have gone to the Wide Awake rituals to have their orgies. Continuing, Dr. John Dee, the original 007, well worth having. to connect the power. And remember, he had the Kelly, who Crowley said he was the reincarnation of, who was the psychic, who could look into the ball, look into the fifth dimension, contacts the Enochian angels, and use five-dimensional magic, Enochian magic, connect it to the earth energies, which is the basis of Enochian magic, which we'll talk about in the future. So as you can see, necromancy has its uses. You can even call up, if you want the attraction of Marilyn Monroe, or Errol Flynn, whatever, Cleopatra, call them up. And if you think it hasn't been researched by the military, the Russians have got something called Rykov, artificial reincarnation, where they put people into trances using hypnotism and drugs, and then input into them the spirit of the dead person, and then they tested whether they developed the attributes of the dead people. And that's in Ostrander and Schroeder's book, Psychic Discoveries Behind the Iron Curtain. Next we go to Gerard Encausse, E-N-C-A-U-S-S-E, 1865 to 1921, known as Papus, who wrote the standard textbook on tarot. He was a famous magician at the time. It was the big thing in France, Kabbalistic magic. Alchemist, astrologer, healer and magician. And Paphos is mentioned in the A. Waite book, because A. Waite was the head of the Golden Dawn. Faustus sold his soul to the devil, stick him in. Robert Flood, who's a mystical philosopher, you can use him. Dr. Foreman, not George Foreman, but Dr. Foreman, highly respected occultist who lived in the 17th century. The magician of King James VI of Scotland. Dion Fortune, who's written loads of books on magic. Stick her in. Jacques Caffarel, G-A-F-F-E-R-E-L, 1601 to 81, a French Kabbalist of wide learning. Remember, if you come to a seminar, Celestial Paladin and Angelic Annie will have a list of these people. G.B. Gardner, who was the self-appointed Pope of British witchcraft. I think I've seen him on telly. He started the big witch movement in the 50s in the UK. I think you see him on old film. Louise Gaffridi, the Prince of Sorcerers, though he ended up on the gallows. So you see why a lot of these guys came to a bad end, because we did the necromancy on them. If you don't understand it, look at Avengers Infinity War, then you will. Better put the cap back on this before it runs out of ink. Then we have Alan Kardec, the father of continental spiritualism. Edward Kelly, who was Dr. D's psychic. He came to a bad end. He'd had his ears chopped off, I think, for thievery. Gareth Knight, some modern day practical guide to occult symbolism. Kenneth Grant, the disciple of the late Aleister Crowley, who founded the OTO and wrote 10 books on the backside of the Kabbalistic tree and the spiders of Set. The Shadow Tarot, which is the backside of the Kabbalistic tree, which everyone uses because they've got the wrong Kabbalistic tree. So whenever they do any sort of New Age, spiritual work, magical work, join a group, or like Madonna, they're all being plunged into the dark side of the Kabbalistic tree, thinking they're not, and all their magic reverse. So when they call up love, they get hatred. When they call up money, they get the opposite. So Madonna, if she never got into the occult, would never have lost the hundreds of millions she did to Guy Ritchie, who screwed up, and wouldn't have donated tens of millions and all her time to the Kabbalah school, which did her in, and everyone else with their red demonic wristbands. Wouldn't now be an old woman alone with 4 little blacks, the only ones that give her any affection, etc., etc. So make sure you join Kabbalistic schools and magical groups and Magices and QAnon and the rest of them, because the more of you that do that, the more energy comes to the 007 top of the tree Illuminati, because I'm the end user for all the magic. But Celestial, Paladin and Jalikani have convinced me that we should at least give people the chance to know the real truth. And from my point of view, it's even more funny. You tell them they're going to be screwed, and they still go along and get screwed. So it's even more fun, isn't it? We've got Stanislas de Guaita, Guaita, who revived Rosicrucianism on the continent, and his philosophy was based on the acceptance of evil as the balancing force in life, or more likely screw people with the wrong Kabbalistic tree and get them balancing up your evil by sacrificing them, which is what the entire magical, supernatural, new age movement's all about. It's one giant meat grinder where they're doing exactly the wrong thing and going into the meat grinder and supplying the energy to the few who know what's going on. Luckily, I'm one of the few. We've got Etienne Guibourg, 1602 to 80. An elderly priest would slit the throat of a small child and allow its blood to gush into the chalice resting on Madame de Montspan's stomach. He then made wafers out of it and dedicated it to Astaroth and Asmodeus. We'll show you how to call up as both of these archdemons in our demonic section. And basically that's using the life force and the death force from a boy. Remember, they're the best for energy to make people younger. So he was doing that for this Bint. Hermes Trismegistus, who did the Emerald Tablet, as above, so below. Honorius, who wrote the famous grimoire called the Constitution of Honorius. And we go into all the grimoires as well. We'll be going through that and showing you how to call up Lucifer from the grimoire, just to please the Christians. I love pleasing Christians. Let's see who else is of interest. We've got La Voisin, 1681, an infamous sorceress whose real name was Catherine Montvoisin. And she was into using all this magic to keep young. We talked about her with this Guibourg, the priest she was using. Moses de Leon, who's into the Zohar and Kabbalism. Eliphas Levi, who was the big cheese in occultism way back. When was his life? 1810 to 75. And he was the one that gave all of the Kabbalistic rituals to the Freemasons in America, including the head of the Freemasons in America, which was Albert Pike. Lewis H. Spencer, Imperator of the ancient mystical order Rosae Crucis, which has its headquarters in California, so you might as well suck him dry and that order. The good thing is you can stick any magical order in there, suck them dry. Still alive, because remember what you're doing is working on their souls and ripping out all their astral power to you. You can be sure that the so-called magi in the world will be very happy that we've made it so easy for the public to use them to power them. They're going to be so happy. I'm going to be getting fan letters. Raymond Lully, a Spanish alchemist and keen student of the Kabbalah. Simon Magus, there's another one, stick him in. John Master, an enthusiastic necromancer, not as enthusiastic as me. S.L. MacGregor Mathers, both he and Aleister Crowley were in competition. They were in the same Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, and he was a big cheese in the Golden Dawn, Mathers. Merlin, stick Merlin in. Pietro Moro, 17th century notorious magician, accused of poisoning people and spreading the plagues. That's good for psychic warfare. We've got Jacqueline Murray, leader of the occult group the Atlanteans, who are supposedly into Atlantean magic. Nectanebus, an Egyptian king of considerable power. As you can see from the internet, you simply just scroll up, stick him in. Victor Neuberg, who was the bum boy of Crowley in the desert for Coronzon. Nostradamus. Fabra Olivet, another occultist, wrote the famous work called The Restitution of the Hebrew Tongue, in which he sought to revive the religion of Pythagoras. He was also the author of Catechism of Kabbalistic Principles. Paracelsus, that's a famous guy from the past. Guillaume Paris, a medieval magician. Martinez de Pasquale, a French occultist. The good thing is you can stick all their names on one bit of paper and do them all at once. Just mass production. It's wonderful. The circle, these crystals, do it all for you. So that's Atlantean Lemurian magic is a huge improvement on bits of string, chalk, sand, written in the sand, or deer hide, which if you even mention it, you just laugh at. But that's the sort of crap that the Illuminati use, and Madonna and the rest of them. Pythagoras, Gilles de Rais, Rasputin, Israel, Dr. Israel Regardie, who did the seminal account of the Golden Dawn. Theodore Royce, the Order Templi Orientis, continuing the teachings of the Knights Templar. Ripley George, a 5th century occultist who have claimed to discover the Philosopher's Stone. Saint Germain, that's a must do for that. Alexander's a male witch who's boasted about his familiarity with demons. And anything else? Solomon wrote, King Solomon, the Lesser Key of Solomon, which we'll talk about with the A.E. Waite book. And I'm starting to get to A.E. Waite. Let's finish off with A.E. Waite, which we're using. In the 1890s, A.E. Waite took over stewardship of the London branch of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. And he was a formidable scholar, and was a Christian, and was into Christianizing its rituals to the dismay of his former pagan brethren. And that was the only reason that he put the true Kabbalistic tree, because as a good Christian he couldn't lie. So that's the only place you'll find the correct Kabbalistic tree, because A.E. Waite was a devout Christian and into the good stuff like Celestial Paladin and Angelic Annie, who go to church as many times as possible. So he couldn't lie by putting the evil one in his book. While if you look in all the other so-called occultist books, all the opposite way around. So there's a brief little simple introduction to magic spells and necromancy, which as you can see is extremely easy, and you can make any of the occultists into a talisman with the talismanic symbol, and you just change it. Yeah. You're making a talisman of the occultist. You simply put their name and number in your little talisman as a starting point. And since we're using magic, you'd use Jupiter metal, which I think was lead, or if they're into witchcraft, silver. Easy. So as you can see, we're simplifying magic. So look at any magic books, full of this, full of that, all complicated, all booby-trapped, all arse over tit. This simply just simplifies it. We've got our power circle, our triangle of art. We're sticking in love, we're sticking in death force. We've got our Enochian orb, which Kelly used as a Ghostbusters spirit trap. We've got our wand, which links us with the 7 lower dimensions, and can be used to suck up with a net, or apply, opening the net, magic. All done, all simplified, easy, completed. Enjoy. Here we are. We've done our 90 minutes.